Welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at the many facets of work that is happening at the Department of Children and Families, between our staff, the families we serve, and our community partners. My name is Jaqueline Ford. I have had the honor of working for the department for almost 30 years. And although I may be familiar with many of the topics we bring to you, I have invited experts in those fields to help us dispel the myths and misconceptions that can often be barriers to our work. Join us as we open our doors and invite you to have a seat at our table. Thank you so much for being on Doors to Hope and Healing today. It's a pleasure to have you here. Today we're going to talk about a special little girl and the needs that she has, in hopes that one of our viewers who are watching may find it in their heart to open up their home to this little girl. But before we get started talking about Isabella, can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
So hi, my name is Corinne Malcolm. I've been with Department of Children and Families for the past 19 years. And I've worked with the department in various capacity and currently ongoing and permanency units.
Good. Well, thank you so much for being here. Can you share why children like Isabella, who we're going to talk to today, come into foster care? What brings them into our foster care program?
So a lot of children come into foster care because they're not being able to be safely maintained at home. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're vulnerable to, in addition to their age as well as their medical needs. In a situation like this, Isabella's needs are very substantial, and her parents struggle with their own needs and unable to safely maintain her in their home.
So foster care initially is temporary. When we place a child in foster care, our hope is to reunify them back to their family. Is that true?
Yes, always. The minute a child comes into DCF care, we always work towards reunifying them.
Mm-hmm. And then when that can't happen and can't safely happen, is that when we look into a permanent situation or an adoptive home for a child? Tell us about that.
So usually once we realize that the child cannot reunify, and a lot of time we do a concurrent plan, mm-hmm. because sometimes the parents start their journey to reunify with the child, and unfortunately along the way they're not able to. And so we do two plans. One, we work towards reunification and we start looking at a permanent home. Mm-hmm. And the permanent home could be adoption or transfer of guardianship, where the child exits DCF care, because no one wants a child to be in DCF care permanently. Mm-hmm. They belong in a home and not to be cared for by a social worker.
And why is that? If you can add a little bit more to that, why is it so crucial for children in DCF's care to have permanency? Because
it provides them some level of security and stability, mm-hmm. And some structure. And they feel better about it. It's about, knowing this is my family, this is where I'm going to live, this is where I'm going to develop, I'm going to get the support I need to just be very productive, and my needs are going to be met. Mm-hmm. And just having that lifetime connection with someone, it's essential for a child's well-being.
And what about a child like Isabella, who we're going to speak about, who has so many significant medical concerns and medical appointments? Why is permanency and that stability more important for a child, even like Isabella?
Because we need someone to be able to be committed long-term, and consistency and structure is needed for her. Mm-hmm. So if we have someone that's committed long-term, then we know that we know Isabella will exit DCF care. She has a lot of medical needs, and we need someone who's going to say, this is a child that I'm going to care for permanently, mm-hmm. long-term, these are her needs, and she's always going to be with me. And they develop some sense of security, mm-hmm. to the best of her ability to understand that.
And I'm sure for the medical providers too, it's helpful when they have that same person that's bringing that child and seeing their commitment and investment in that child.
Absolutely. And, the advocacy, right? Because all of her needs, all of her wants, how she responds to something, what it is that she needs at school, and like you said, for the doctor's appointment. Mm-hmm. And so you grow with her, and the consistency is so essential for her.
Right. So Isabella, or we call her Bella, right?
Yes, Isabella.
So tell us about what makes her so special.
So Isabella is a beautiful young lady. Mm-hmm. She has a beautiful smile. When she's happy, her eyes are lighten up. She claps sometimes. And when she's happy also, when something excites her, mm-hmm. the tone of her voice, she will scream sometimes because she's so happy about it. She's very likable, and she's just is just happy to be around. And she tends to get along with everyone. She's a very likable young lady. And like you said, you know when she's having a good day. And she tries her best to be so independent.
Yeah.
You know that she's given her everything 100%. And so you're just happy to see her progress and all the efforts that she puts into it.
How old is Bella?
She's 12 years old. She's 12 years
12
old.
years
Yes,
old, so
yes.
she's pre-tween, right? Or she's a tween. She's
Yes, and you could tell.
Yes, she's not quite a tween yet.
She's not, but you can see the transition as she develops.
And how does she express affection and love for her caretaker and the people that are living with her in her circle?
So she does smile a lot, and she will raise her hand, like more or less for like a partial hug. And like I said, she will clap her hands, and you could tell when she's happy, and just it's a beam in her eyes, and she smiles a lot.
She just lights up.
She lights up. She lights up. And she really enjoys her caregivers. She enjoys the family members. She enjoys the dog in the family. So
she likes pets.
She loves pets. Yes, yes.
So tell us about her medical condition, her diagnosis.
So she's diagnosed with cerebral palsy. She also have a history of being diagnosed with seizure, but she's not exhibit any symptoms for the past 4 years, but she does take daily medication. She also has some developmental delays, gross developmental delays. And so she's wheelchair dependent, and so mobility is difficult for her. She scoots around.
She scoots around.
She scoots around.
So she can't walk on a walker. She's completely dependent.
She's completely dependent on her caregiver. I know sometimes her current foster parent may put her arms underneath her arms and try to have her make some steps, or trying to ambulate her. So she does, but she needs someone to meet all of her physical needs.
I understand. So tell us about her day-to-day life when it comes to her medical needs and how, her limitations affect her day-to-day.
So, for instance, definitely she receives a variety of services. One, occupational therapy. She also receives speech therapy. She does go to a neurologist. She goes for her routine medical appointments. So she has a lot of ongoing medical appointments that she attends to. But she's usually pretty good when she goes to her providers. She goes to the dentist, she opens her mouth, she goes to a medical appointment. She knows what to expect at these appointments, so it's not bad for her. However, she does need a lot of physical therapy to stretch her limbs, so it's a little bit more mobile for her. And potty, she needs to be changed every 2 hours, because she doesn't sit on the toilet by herself. So she does need a caregiver to assist her with that. So every 2 hours on average is how her, her diaper is changed. Even getting her dressed, it's sometimes a little difficult, and she needs some assistance with getting dressed. And just being mindful sometimes too of when she's eating, she does eat some finger food, and she has modified utensils. So she does need some help with that.
And on a day-to-day, is there any services that come into the home or any services that she needs on a day-to-day outside of foster care? Foster care?
So she gets, not every day, but she gets the physical therapy and the occupational therapy at school. She's approved for 28 hours of home health care. However, the current foster parent has a lot of experience. She knows how to do that stuff. So she doesn't need to utilize that service. However, a foster parent that does not have that skill or need additional support would be entitled to that 28 hours per week to assist with whether or not to give her a bath, whether or not it's to get her dressed, to help monitor her feeding. Then that would be available to that person as well.
Okay.
I know going in and out of the car, sometimes she definitely needs some assistance in and out of the car, or when she has a shower chair, and so just some help getting her in the shower.
Okay. And you meant...
Excuse me?
Okay, you told me to wait a second. That's okay. You're doing great. See, isn't it easy?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you about her school, what school she goes. Well, you don't have to say the name of the school.
It's good. I just noticed something that's catching me.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I know the
Okay.
grade. I don't remember the school.
Yeah, and you don't even have to say the school. You just talk about her school. Okay. Should I repeat the last question, or are we good to go on to the next question? Okay. Okay. So you mentioned that Bella goes to school and she gets some of her physical therapy and occupational therapy at school.
Yeah.
What is her school like?
So she is in a small class. She's in the 7th grade, by the way.
Okay.
And so she's in a small setting with a few other kids that have similar needs. She does stay in her wheelchair all day, and she also does communicate via iPad.
Okay.
So that's how she communicates some of the times. And so that's.
Is she in a public school or is she in a specialized school?
She's in a public school, but in a
Okay.
specialized classroom.
Okay, that's
Yes,
great.
yes,
So
yes.
she's mainstreamed in the public school.
Yes,
That's wonderful.
yes.
And you mentioned that she has an iPad and cue cards. My question about the cue cards, that's how she expresses herself. She's been taught how to use the cue cards and the iPad?
Yes, and I just learned that she does some signing. So
Oh.
yes, she does know how to sign a little bit, and she likes her classmates. Yes, so she's social very well with them, and so she likes going to school. And
that's
her
wonderful.
teachers, she's the pleasure. Her teachers do love seeing her.
And it's so wonderful that there's this technology so that, I can imagine it could be frustrating to know what you want to express and not have a way in which to do so. So having the iPad and the cue cards and learning how to sign can help her with her communication with her teachers and her caregivers. I think that's wonderful. You mentioned that she's wheelchair dependent. And she's getting some independence with her mobility. What is her favorite activities to do?
So she loves like water pads. She enjoys water pads a whole lot. She also likes to be on her iPad sometimes to watch some adventurous games. She likes to be with the family in their living room. They sit on bean bags or they sit on the pillow or cushions, and they just sit around as a family and do activities. The dog is part of the family, so she seems to enjoy that. Sometimes she will have a book and she just spin through the book, as if she's looking at pictures and trying to comprehend what's going on in the pictures. And she does go outside sometimes. She doesn't like a large crowd, but she does go, I think, shopping, if I'm not mistaken, or in a community with foster parents as well as with the students at school.
So if one of our viewers is watching and they're thinking that they'd like to learn more about Isabella or questioning whether or not they could do that, the structure in the home is very important for a child like Isabella. Talk to us about that. So if a foster parent says, someone on who's watching, one of the viewers says, I really want to learn more about how I can best take care of Isabella or a child like Isabella, what would that structure on a day-to-day basis be like for them?
So for Isabella, things need to remain the same. She needs to know what to expect. Routines are very essential for her. In the morning, she knows when she gets up, she knows what's the next steps are. So knowing the next steps is consistent, then it makes a big lot of difference. Very smooth transition for the foster parent. Because when things are out of routine, that's when she gets a little frustrated, and then the anxiety increases. So just maintaining to a schedule as much as possible is very important for her.
And I'm sure it makes it easier for the caregiver as well, because if she feels more, secure and comfortable with a schedule, it just helps the parenting Isabella easier, I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also the time frame. So, if you used to spending 10 minutes doing something, it's going to take 15 minutes if it's out of routine. So,
Sure.
right, if you want things to flow, it's just best to stick with it.
Yeah, not have to readjust.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned that the family had a dog, and what I've learned about Bella is that she likes animals. How do animals bring joy for her?
I think just the fact that, because now the dog that they have is actually a Saint Bernardine, so that's a very big dog.
Yes, I have a Bernie Doodle, so I know the size of that dog.
Yeah, so for her, I think just the dog is innocent, right? Just like Bella, she's innocent. So that unconditional attention and love, and just come in there and just be next to her, it just give her that sense of comfort and just something to interact with.
Right.
In addition to interacting with her foster family.
Gosh, well, I love animals, so I know that definitely can bring out joy in adults, any human. It brings out the joy. Yes, just you're imagining it yourself. Tell us about Bella's favorite hobbies. Something about Adventure Time. Is that a favorite show that she likes to watch?
Yes, it's my understanding that's her favorite show, Adventure Time. She watches some SpongeBob too.
Yes, yeah, that's good.
And so she knows how to navigate, how to get on to watch her favorite show. So she enjoys the iPad and spending time on it.
And is that where she watches the Adventure Time,
yes.
or that on her iPad?
It's on her iPad. She knows how to turn it on and watch it, and so she'll be totally consumed or watching it because she gets excited about it.
That's good. I think all kids like that, right? You have to kind of monitor that screen time. But for a child like Isabella, who has so many limitations and of the things that she can do that can bring her joy, I'm sure that she can find herself lost in those TV shows.
Absolutely. And then you can see her expression and her excitement with something on the screen that makes her happy. It's like her body just starts showing the happiness.
To respond. And you said she claps and she smiles.
She claps, she smiles, she'll reach her hands up, her eyes lights up.
Yeah.
You could tell in her voice, it changes too when she's excited. And she throws her hands around.
Yeah, and I think just in talking to you for this brief amount of time, it really seems like her eyes tell her story.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even when she wants something, her eyes, she will point, or her eyes also will. Once you get to know her, you start knowing what it is that she likes and don't like. And you also get to know things that she wants. I think she says a couple words now, and like I said, she puts a lot of effort, and I think continuously, if you're committed to helping her, then she will continue to progress slowly, but some progression.
Sure. What supports does Bella receive from professionals regarding her overall well-being? So we talked already about physical therapy, occupational therapy, and neurology. Are there any other types of services that she receives?
She does get speech therapy. So she gets it on a couple times per week. She gets speech therapy at school. And a lot of the things that she receives to the foster parents also try to continue it in the home. Whatever they're working on, she does that. And like I mentioned, she would be eligible for the in-home home care services if the foster parent is interested in that service.
Okay. And the teacher in the school setting, does the teacher communicate often with the foster family?
Yes. They have regular open communication. Whatever's going on in the school, the foster parent is 100% on top of everything, and the teachers are actually very supportive. She has a solid team between her foster parent, the doctors. They all know her because, again, we talked earlier a little bit about the consistency and the structure, and having someone familiar that makes a big difference for her.
What are some of the challenges of caring for a child like Bella, for someone who's watching, who's thinking, can I do this? Am I strong enough to take care of a child who really needs this love and support?
So the challenge is that physically, you're going to be able to do it because she does require some ambulation. And so pivoting her, being able to use your physical strength and pivot her, get her in bed, get her into the bathroom. The fact that she requires a lot of time because, as I mentioned earlier, every 2 hours she needs to be changed with her diaper. Especially on the weekend or when school is out, you need that extra time. You got to go slow with her. Bella needs somebody that's, someone that will go slow. So if you're someone that have a chaotic lifestyle, 5 kids, it's a lot to do. So some of those makes it difficult. Lots of medical appointments. So she has a lot of medical appointments. So just having to coordinate all her appointments also makes it a little bit challenging. And initially, it's going to be challenging when you don't know what her wants are. You don't have that relationship with her and able to communicate. So initially, that would be a challenge along the way. on just the fact that she's not able to articulate or verbalize what it is her needs are when something wrong, and for you to just be a little bit in tune to it. So those are some challenges.
Sure. So I think patience is, you
Patience.
definitely hear that through every single word that you just said, is just having that patience to kind of meet Bella where she's at. If you could think of the best family for her, if one of our viewers is watching, what would you say would be the family that Bella needs?
And we'll start with the patience. A person a family that's very patient, committed to say, she is going to need my assistance lifetime. One that's not in a rush because she requires a lot in the morning to get her ready. One that's very structured and able to coordinate appointments. One is just truly caring and able to provide unconditional love to Bella, make her feel happy and wanted and comfortable in the home. Also, one that's willing to allow someone to come into their home, because as I mentioned earlier, she is eligible for home health aid, and so someone's coming in the home. In addition to being able to work with other providers, if she needs additional services, are you receptive to allowing her in your home? So some of those would be beneficial for that caregiver, and just being in tune to her needs.
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about Bella that she doesn't like big crowds and she doesn't like to be out in big crowds. What do you mean by that? Explain that to us.
Sometimes when she's in a big crowd, like if she's supposed to go to a fair or carnival, I think in too many people around her, she gets anxious.
Okay.
And because she gets anxious, sometimes she may, bang her head, she screams. And so it's difficult for her to stay in that environment. When she's removed from that environment, then she calms down. So a family that goes out a lot to those kind of activities, then it would have been an adjustment, because so far she's still struggling with it. So that's something that they might not be able to take her to, at least for a little while.
Right. And we want, whoever is interested in learning more about Bella, we want them to understand all of this so that they know if they're the family that is a good fit for Bella. They could be a family that's very active, but it's going to depend on what their activities entail and the types of crowds that they're in. And that's important because we don't want to set anyone up to fail.
Right.
Most importantly, Bella.
Right.
We want her to. So when we're looking for that permanency that we spoke about at the beginning of our show for Bella, are we looking for a long-term foster care arrangement, or are we looking for an adoptive home, or is it either, depending on who steps forward?
So our preference would be adoption, right? Because we want her to just have that sense of belonging, permanency, a foster parent caring for her permanently, not DCF. If not, we're fine with long-term, where she will stay in their home long-term. Even if you don't adopt, then even if DCF is involved, that's the home she knows that she's going to come home to when she's 15, when she's 16, when she's 17 years old. So that would be our, second best. But we don't want to move her from one place to another, because again, the adjustment, and we also want her to just have that sense of security. We want her to start feeling that this is where I'm going to be. I think, a child having some security and sense of where they're going to be, help with their overall emotional well-being and them progressing.
How would we help a family prepare to care for a child like Bella? What types of training would they need to do to really prepare them? We're not going to just place Bella in their home and hope hope everything goes well. We're going to support them through that process. What does that support look like?
So we do have the foster care division that provide a lot regular training. They also have a variety of topics that they provide training on. Also, there's some trainings that can be provided through the medical providers. DCF at this very point also have nursing staff and medical staff. I know our current nurse goes out to the foster home regularly with our social worker, so they can also address that with them. And any additional support they may need, we're able to help to support them and provide that additional support. We are also well aware that based on her presentation and how she is and her needs, that she will be eligible for a Department of Developmental Services.
Okay.
So once she turns, I think it's 21, I'm not sure, but more or less when she gets older, she will have that additional support as well.
And this family would be considered a medically complex family,
Yes, yes, absolutely they will. And any change in medication, any change in anything pertains to her, they will get the support they need.
And that additional training for the medically complex families too, which is wonderful that they'll be trained and ready for a child like Bella.
Yes.
So if any of our viewers are watching, who would they call if they wanted more information on Bella?
So they will call Kids Hero. I think there's a number.
Yes, it's the 188 Kid Hero. If anybody had any questions about her specifically, could they call you or the social worker or send an email?
Absolutely, absolutely. We will be more than happy to provide any update, answer any question. Doesn't matter what the question is. It's whatever the person is interested in knowing, because we want someone to be comfortable, have all the information for them to make an informed decision.
Wow, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for visiting us today and talking to us about Bella, and we really hope that all of these efforts are going to help her find her forever family.
I hope so, and that's why I'm here, because I do have hope, and I think she deserves it. She's a beautiful young lady, as I said, and I'm looking forward and hope that we find someone, and even if we don't find someone for her right now, I just want everyone watching that we have so many kids in DCF care that need a home. But Isabella is our baby, and we want her to have a permanent home.
Well, she's lucky to have such investment from you and your staff that have been working closely with her. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're
and
welcome.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
If anyone watching today would like more information on Bella or on any child in the Department of Children and Families Care who needs a forever home or a permanent resource, please call 1-888-KID-HERO. And thank you very much for watching today. Bye-bye.
Bean, what do cats do?
Meow, 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 meow. Yeah.
Good job. Come on, Belle. Good job, wheeling. Which way you going? Come on, Belle. You wheeling to the bus stop? Which way you going? Going to the driveway. Good job.
Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Bella, she being silly.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow.
The Saybrook Fish House in Canton has been serving fresh seafood, chicken, and prime steaks for 40 years. Experience one of our 3 unique dining room settings, 2 with fireplaces, or relax in our cozy pub with a craft beer, wine by the glass, or specialty cocktail while enjoying a meal from our new lighter fare pub menu. Serving lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Reservations accepted for parties of 2 to 42. Gift cards always available. The Saybrook Fish House, nestled at the crossroads of routes 44, 202, and 179 in Canton.
Follow us on Instagram at nutmeg.tv.